Hello everyone, how are you all doing? It's been a while, I know it's been a long time. Well, to all my 30 subscribers or something, I hope you're having a good time as well as you can, of course, during these pretty tough times. Hope you're all staying safe. I know I am, so I hope you're all doing the same thing. To actually cut to the chase, a couple of nights ago, I actually rewatched a movie that I hadn't watched in a long time. The movie being Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I remember seeing this film back in 2016. It was my second most anticipated film of the year, my most anticipated being, of course, Captain America Civil War, but before that, definitely Batman vs Superman. I was a fan of Man of Steel, still am, to be honest, and I was just so incredibly hyped to see these two beasts just butt heads together and just have this epic battle, this epic war. I was just so ready, and I remember seeing it in theaters with my friends and just being so immensely disappointed. Oh my jeez, it was probably one of the most disappointing experiences, film-wise, of course. That being said, I did grow to appreciate it more later that year. After watching it a second and a third time, I did like it a lot more than I did at the beginning. I've gotten a little bit more, let's say, tough maybe on certain elements. It depends. I watched Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, the extended edition, mind you, several nights ago, because I was like, you know what, it's been a long time. I just want to watch it again, and you know, Zack Snyder, he gets a lot of hate, but personally I think he is a very unique director. I think he's very good at what he does. He has a very unique and very interesting visual style. I mean, Watchmen, also the extended edition, you know, the one that lasts 3 hours. I watch it like once a year, and it gives me joy every time again. I really enjoy watching that movie. Same as goes with 300. Sucker Punch, I don't know, that's kind of like a mixed bag for me. Man of Steel, I really like. Batman v Superman is just a colossal mumbo-jumbo cocktail that just doesn't work, that everyone wanted to pour a little bit of their own liquor in it, mix it together, and you end up with this thing. It has a lot of different great tastes, but as a whole just doesn't really taste that good, if you know what I mean. And that really is my problem. That being said, the extended edition actually is a lot better than the theatrical edition. It adds 30 extra minutes. Really good, actually. I was pleasantly surprised to how better that film is. And it got me thinking, you know what? In this period where the MCU is introducing Phase 4, pretty much being done with the Infinity Saga, and now starting with, I guess, is going to be the Multiverse Saga, and DC is just lumping behind, you know. It's like staggering. It's like trying to catch up, trying to stay relevant pretty much, and it's kind of sad to see, because the DCEU has enough movies to call it a universe. I mean, it's not like just this little pile of bleh. It has plenty of movies to call it a universe. It currently has 9 films in total, starting with Man of Steel. To give you a quick heads up, I'm going to very quickly give my own appreciation of every movie. Beginning with Man of Steel, I actually really think Man of Steel is a good starting point. I think it's a very good Superman film, very unique, very grounded, very impressive, very entertaining. Man of Steel, I think, is a very good film for what it's supposed to be. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice has great elements, but just way too many great elements, all smashed into one film, and it just doesn't work. It's very rushed, very abrupt, very forced, and a lot of things just don't make any sense. There are callbacks, there are references, there are teasers for things that just shouldn't be there. It's just a huge, like I said, a huge cocktail with just way too many ingredients. Suicide Squad is the first movie of the bunch that I actually consider a bad film, but like a properly bad film. Batman v Superman was disappointing, but I never said it was a bad film. Suicide Squad from the get-go I called a bad film. It's just so rushed, all these characters, you don't know who they are, unless of course you read the comics, but I mean that's not really the case with everyone, including myself. I didn't know who these characters were, I didn't give a shit, I just didn't care, so rushed, so disposable, just a bad film. Wonder Woman was a huge step up, although I didn't find it to be as good as everyone said, because this film really was being hailed like one of the best superhero films of all time. I don't agree, I think it's just on the same level as Man of Steel, just good, nothing special, just good. Then of course we arrive at Justice League with just the same thing. I remember going see it with my buddies and back in 2017, expecting hardly anything and getting just that. I mean, it wasn't a terrible movie, but it was so far from good as well. It's just so rushed, it just didn't add up, it just was so forced. These characters of Aquaman, The Flash, Cyborg, Steppenwolf, all these characters were just thrown at you. You don't care. It was supposed to be this epic team up, but you just didn't give a shit. The villain was beyond weak, just bad. Aquaman was very entertaining, very good. Also, this film was extremely successful, and I get it. It was a huge improvement. Very fun movie, just a very fun movie. Same goes for Shazam. Nothing special really, but still a very fun, entertaining movie. Birds of Prey I almost found insufferable because it was just this huge, I don't know, again with Suicide Squad, all these characters that you just don't know. Of course, you know Harley Quinn, but the others you just don't know, you don't care. And the film asks you to care, and you just don't. Not to mention the main villain being just this insufferable, on-the-nose, misogynistic douchebag that you just can't take seriously. Oh, Jesus Christ. Bringing us to the final one, Wonder Woman 1984. I think everything that can be said about this movie has already been said, so let me just say this: it was bad. So the DCEU pretty much is the very tragic case of having all the ingredients that you need, all the tools that you need to make a wonderful buffet, but you fill your kitchen with these imbeciles who can't even make a boiled egg. And that's what you have. And I don't blame the directors, because there are very talented people who made these films. Zack Snyder, David Ayer, Patty Jenkins, James Wan. I mean, these are very successful and accomplished directors. I just simply blame the writers and the studios. Of course, Warner Brothers really didn't help this a single bit. But then again, it got me thinking. It got me thinking to what it could have been. What if the DCEU wasn't rushed? What if it wasn't this turd that needed to be flushed down the toilet? What if this huge, wonderful source actually was put to good use? What if it actually was put to good use on a steady pace, just like they did with the MCU back in 2008? What could have happened? Well guys, I made it my personal mission to sort of improve the DCEU and actually also divide it in several phases, just like the MCU now is starting with its phase 4. I've actually tried to make my own version of the DCEU. DCEU 2.0, you can call it, or whatever you want. The Redemption DCEU, for all I care. And I've actually really put my mind to it, and I thought, you know what, I want to share it with you guys. I want to know what you think. Just use your imagination. Before we delve into this, I really want to point out I am not a massive comic book nerd. I really don't know that much about the characters. I've seen a lot of movies, I've seen a lot of cartoons, but I've never read a single comic book of them in my life. I'm really not as educated as a lot of you guys are, I'm sure. So if I make this absurd comment or this absurd theory, or if I bring up this absurd idea that just doesn't make any sense to you guys, please forgive me. Don't be mad. It's just my own idea. It's just my own fantasy that was kind of working at 100%. Nevertheless, I want to start this video by introducing Phase 1 of my very own DCEU. Phase 1 that I've called The Dawn of Justice. Exactly, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. This first phase, Phase 1, Dawn of Justice, has 9 films. 9 films. And it's all about the setup. The title goes for itself, Dawn of Justice. The first film, very easily, is Man of Steel. Man of Steel, just the way it is. Change nothing, nothing at all. Maybe a little bit script-wise to maybe lengthen it a little bit, because the film is a little bit rushed at times. It really has not that much breathing room, but then again, I think it is a very solid opening film, so just take Man of Steel and change nothing. There you go, first film. Second film, Wonder Woman. Exactly the same one from the DCU that we have. The origin story, Wonder Woman. Change nothing. Maybe add a little bit better pacing, maybe also improve the script a little bit, because there were some points of the movie that I found pretty rushed, that I found a little bit cliche and everything, you know. The whole Ares storyline was good, but it could have maybe used another rewrite, maybe another editing job, you know, in the editing room, maybe. Alright, so first 2 movies, Man of Steel and then Wonder Woman, both origin stories. The third one is The Batman. The Batman being the first solo film of Batfleck. Yes, I'm using Batfleck, not Robert Pattinson. Love me some Robert Pattinson. Very excited to see his version of Batman. But as far as the DCU goes, it's Batfleck for me, because I freaking love this portrayal of Batman. Absolutely adored it. The Batman is his solo film. It takes place right before or maybe during the events of Man of Steel, but it's not an origin story. Man of Steel and Wonder Woman are both origin stories. The Batman isn't. It takes place when Bruce Wayne has already been Batman for like 20 years or so. He has been doing it for a long time. It's kind of like his introduction. He can fight one of his villains, maybe the Riddler or anything. Not the Joker, because he will come into play later. But let's say the Riddler. Maybe he's going to fight the Riddler in his own film, and that's really how it is. It's kind of like his own solo film, trying to balance his personal life, his Bruce Wayne life, of course, with the Wayne Corporation and all of that. And after the whole finale, after the Riddler, let's say, is defeated, after the entire plot of the film is wrapped up, it ends when Bruce Wayne is in his office, maybe, and suddenly all the lights go off, and, you know, all the computer screens, all the cell phones, all TVs in the room are being taken over, and they receive the message from Zod. You know, the message from Zod from Man of Steel when he makes his entrance to Earth, when he like pretty much hacks all of the electronics over the entire world. The Batman ends when Bruce Wayne experiences this moment. Exactly, just like that. And then we head in to my version of the 4th movie of the Phase 1, Batman v Superman. No Dawn of Justice. Scrape that part of the title, just Batman v Superman. And it also begins with Bruce Wayne entering Metropolis during the attack of the World Engine, seeing Superman, seeing all the destruction, basically triggering his rage against Superman, and that sets the foundations for that movie. A huge part of this movie will be very similar to the first half of the original Batman v Superman. On one side you have Batman trying to start up and prepare for his inner war with Superman, and on the other hand you of course have Superman, seeing him again after Man of Steel, kind of dealing with how the world sees him, you know, all those political topics, you know, Must there be a Superman? Do we need him? Does he need to be held accountable for everything he has done? Pretty much those storylines. But only Batman and Superman in this entire film. No Justice League teasers, no short cameos of Aquaman, The Flash, Cyborg. No, those characters aren't here yet. Nothing. Maybe a Wonder Woman teaser, but only like maybe something in the background, like a picture or a footage, but nothing really in depth, because of course Wonder Woman had a huge role in the actual Batman v Superman. Not here. Wonder Woman can be teased very slightly, maybe. The one character that actually does make his entrance in this film is Lex Luthor. Of course, Lex Luthor also kind of framing Superman in the eyes of the world, also triggering that war between the two of them. And the end fight, no, it isn't Doomsday, no, it isn't with Lex Luthor. The end fight is just purely Batman and Superman fighting together. The fight that we had in the movie, I found to be disappointing. I still find to be disappointing. Visually, it's amazing. Score, soundtrack-wise, it's epic. I mean, everything is just great, but it's just way too short and way too slow. I think the fight choreography in that fight scene is extremely slow and tiresome. I get it, they are two very heavy guys, very muscular, very powerful, but still, it was very slow. The fight in this version, Batman v Superman, is like 10 minutes long, let's say. It's grand, it's epic, it's brutal, it's fast, it's just fueled with rage and adrenaline. Like, it may be the same area as where it takes place in the actual film that we got, but just brutal, and it also ends maybe in the same way with Batman, with Superman like pleading for Martha. Maybe also Lex Luthor kidnapped his mother, of course. And it just ends like that, with Batman and Superman kind of making peace. Batman for just letting go of his hatred. They both go save Superman's mom. Maybe do a team up, the both of them. Maybe do a team up that while Batman is taking out the guys in the warehouse, maybe Superman is taking down certain drones that were guarding the place. Maybe certain vehicles that were attacking Batman. Who knows? But let that be the film. After this, we had to a whole lot of origin stories. After this, we get Aquaman, but an origin story, not the Aquaman that we got. A whole different new film, really centered around his origin story. Just how he became to be, how he was raised, why he decided to remain at a distance, you know, from his duties, from his call. Maybe that whole explanation, of course, he can fight this random villain, famous Aquaman villain, who knows. Just Aquaman and his own origin story. After this, The Flash. The same thing, origin story, whole film dedicated to The Flash with his origin story. How did he become the man he was? How is life for him? You know, just that. After this, again, we have our Cyborg movie. Same thing, origin story, his relationship with his father, how he suffered the accident, and everything, you know, just both Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg, just these three origin stories, three separate movies completely dedicated to their own characters. Of course, you can have some teasing and some hints and some callbacks to Batman, Superman, or whatever during these films, but these films really should only be about Aquaman, The Flash, or Cyborg. That's those three films. Then we arrive at our 8th film, which is our second Wonder Woman film, which I've called Wonder Woman, no, not 1984, but I've called it Wonder Woman Goddess of the Hunt. And it took me a while to come up with this title. Basically, this film is set in the present. It's set during the events of Batman v Superman. During those same events. Maybe Wonder Woman could also have been a witness, but from a distance, of the destruction of Metropolis, maybe. But this really is set in the present, and it mainly goes about Wonder Woman and her arch enemy, or one of her arch enemies, Cheetah. Now, we all had our version of Cheetah in Wonder Woman 1984, but I just found it to be extremely cliched and just very poorly done. This version of Cheetah will be very you know, will be very true to the comics. You know, this version of Cheetah, that she will actually be an archaeologist. She will stay and like this very ambitious, skilled archaeologist who will find this dagger that basically allows her to transform into this human cat hybrid. And of course Wonder Woman is involved, and they're in there, and just their conflict with each other, right? No necessary build up, no necessary you know, hints or cameos or whatever, just a second Wonder Woman film set in the present during the events of Batman v Superman, where Wonder Woman has to fight Cheetah. Just simple as that. And that brings us to our final film of Phase 1, simply called Dawn of Justice. Just that, Dawn of Justice. This is the film, this is pretty much the first real big team-up film, but not in the way you think, because we have had our Aquaman, Flash and Cyborg origins movies, but they won't really make a grand appearance in this film. This film really is a continuation of course, the Batman v Superman film, and also the Wonder Woman Goddess of the Hunt film. This is the film where Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman team up against Lex Luthor and his big scheme. This is a film where Lex Luthor really propels himself as this huge nemesis, you know, this huge threat that is to be reckoned with. In Batman v Superman, Lex Luthor was there, yes, he was very menacing, but he really wasn't that big of a threat, because that film really only largely centers around the conflict between Batman and Superman. Lex Luthor doesn't play that big of a part. In this film, in Dawn of Justice, Lex Luthor does play a very big part. Why? Because he creates Doomsday. That's pretty much his big scheme. Also, same motivations. He hates God. Superman is basically God. He wants to kill him. Lex Luthor creates this monster. He creates Doomsday in order to put an end to Superman, of course. That is pretty much the villain storyline. The main storyline really is that Superman and Batman, they've united. They're not necessarily fighting together, but they are, you know, respecting each other's grounds. Let's say Wonder Woman finds them, the three of them, they meet each other, they can have like this maybe slight conflict, maybe a little battle between Superman and Wonder Woman, like, you know, the battle in the first Avengers movie between Thor and Iron Man. Maybe, sounds cool, sounds nice. But you know, these main three huge figures, they find themselves, they discover there are of course the other metahumans, Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg. The whole metahuman thesis is being introduced. This really is, the title pretty much speaks for itself, Dawn of Justice. This really is the film where the entire foundation of the Justice League is being built. But then of course near the end, Lex Luthor brings up Doomsday. This huge fight happens, really similar to the end fight of the film Batman v Superman that we got, where the three of them fight against Doomsday, and also resulting in the death of Superman. Superman also dies here, and he's dead, like truly dead, because in the actual Batman v Super film that we got, we all know the last second of that movie, you see the sand, you see the sand on top of his coffin rising up into the air, pretty much symbolizing that he's not dead. But in this film, Dawn of Justice, he's dead. It ends on a pretty bittersweet note, you know, Batman and Wonder Woman, they're teaming up, officially teaming up. They're like, we gotta find the others, just like in the film that we gotta find the others. This is real, this is happening, Doomsday happened, but worse things are out there. So it's like this huge Justice League teaser, and maybe also a Steppenwolf teaser. Maybe, but not sure. You can do it, but it needs to be like all the way at the end. Steppenwolf can be in there, but not really that sure, of course. The main essence of Dawn of Justice, the final film of Phase 1, is the Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman team up against Lex Luthor, fighting Doomsday. Superman dies, Batman and Wonder Woman team up at the end, and they know they need to find the other metahumans in order to rise and of course start the real actual Justice League. So right guys, that was my phase 1 of my very own DCEU 2.0. Phase 2 and phase 3 are coming up. I want to do this in 3 separate videos. I hope you enjoy this one. If you have any remarks, if you have any complaints, if you were like, dude, what are you doing, this doesn't make any sense at all, or if you just want to give compliments and if you want to share some love, I would really appreciate it. Put it down in the comments below. You will make me very happy, and I hope you're excited to see what phase 2 and 3 are like. Thank you very much.